Simsy. All right, guys, story time with Ronnie. Another episode. What's a Ronnie? Well, Ronnie's a 2016 Newmar Ventana, and she rocks. All right, what story? Well, today we're going to continue on with Arabian Nights, part 5 for us. Um, we're going to leave today's trip. We're going to be heading out of Ridgeway State Park in Colorado, and we're going to head over towards Telluride, and we're going to eventually end up in the Cayton Campground. Basically, what we do is we pull out of the Ridgeway State Park and turn right. We get to Ridgeway, we turn right. We get to Placerville, we turn left. We get to Telluride, we turn right. We get to Lizard Heads Pass and we go, oh, so beautiful. And then we go down the hill and we turn left into the Cayton Campground. All right, let's get back to this story here. There's Arabian Nights Part 5 for us. Now, when we left off, we were talking with Shahrazad and her dad, the wazir to the king who's killing everybody. And he was telling her a parable about the bull and the ass. And we had left it off where the merchant who can understand all manner of beasts and birds and everything, but he can't tell anybody what they say or he'll die. Well, his wife wants him to die. She says, I don't care. You got to tell me what the heck's going on, or it just don't matter. It's been 120 years I've been living with you, but that's it. It's over if you don't tell me what's going on. So we'll pick it up there. So at last he said, summon thy father and thy mother, and our kith and kin, and sundry of our neighbors. When she did, which she did, and he sent for the Kazi and his assessors, intending to make his will and reveal to her his secret and die the death. For he loved her with love exceeding, because she was his cousin, the daughter of his father's brother, and the mother of his children. And he had lived with her a life of 120 years. Then, having assembled all the family and the folk of his neighborhood, he said to them, by me there hangeth a strange story, and 'tis such that if I discover the secret to any, I am a dead man. Therefore, quoth every one of those present to the woman, Allah upon thee, leave this sinful obstinacy, and recognize the right of this matter, lest happily thy husband and the father of thy children die. Happily, not happily, happily. But she rejoined, I will not turn from it till he tell me, even though he come by his death. So they ceased to urge her, and the trader rose from amongst them, and repaired to an outhouse to perform wuzu ablution. And he proposed thereafter to return, and to tell them his secret, and to die. So he's totally ready to die because she's demanding to know why he was laughing. Now, daughter, Shahrazad, the merchant, had in his outhouses some 50 hens under one cock. And whilst making ready to farewell his folk, he heard one of his many farm dogs thus address in his own tongue the cock, who was flapping his wings and crowing lustily and jumping from one hen's back to another and treading all in turn, saying, Oh, Chanticleer. Let me see. Chanticleer. Oh, Chanticleer, Chanticleer. How mean is thy wit, and how shameless is thy conduct. But he disappointed who brought thee up. Art thou not ashamed of thy doings on such a day as this? At what? Asked the rooster. Hath occurred this day. When the dog answered, Dost thou not know that our master is this day making ready for his death? His wife is resolved that he shall disclose the secret taught to him by Allah, and the moment he so doeth, he shall surely die. We dogs are all a mourning, but thou clappest thy wings and clarinetest thy loudest, and treadest hen after hen. Is this an hour for pastime and pleasuring? Art thou not ashamed of thyself? Yeah, you give it to him, boy. All right, let's take a look and see what's going on with this road here, with this drive. Oh, okay, we're not even in Ridgeway yet. Or are we? Well, heck, I don't know. I should have been paying closer attention, I guess. No, it looks like we're just pulling out of Ridgeway. Well, like I say, if you're looking for one of them channels where you get that real good, accurate information and everybody's taking you around and leading you by the hand and showing you stuff, yeah, that's not this channel. This channel is what you get right here is a whole bunch of madness, and you can't find that anywhere at any price. I'll tell you that right now. All right, yeah, we definitely got through Ridgeway already. Wow, yeah, we zipping right along here. But okay, let's find our way back to this story. We're gonna get to Placerville. We'll hang a left. Let's see, what do we got? Lack of wit. Oh, are you not ashamed of yourself? You're out there doing all kinds of things. Okay, then by Allah, quoth the cock, is our master a lackwit and a man scanty of sense? If he cannot manage matters with a single wife, his life is not worth prolonging. Now I have some 50 Dame Partlets, and I please this and provoke that, and starve one and stuff another, and though my good governance, they are all well under my control. This our master pretendeth to wit and wisdom, and he hath but one wife, and yet knoweth not how to manage her. Asked the dog, What then, O cock, should the master do to win clear of his strait? He should arise forthright, answered the cock, take some twigs from yon mulberry tree, and give her a regular back basting and rib roasting till she cry, I repent, O my lord, I will never ask thee a question as long as I live. Then let him beat her once more and soundly, and when he shall have done this he shall sleep free from care and enjoy his life. But this master of ours owns neither sense nor judgment. Now, daughter Shahrazad, continued the wazir, I will do to thee as did that husband to that wife. Said Shahrazad, and what did he do? He replied, when the merchant heard the wise words spoken by his cock to his dog, he arose in haste and sought his wife's chamber. After cutting for her some mulberry twigs and hiding them there, and then he called to her, Come into the closet, that I may tell thee the secret while no one seeth me, and then die. She entered with him, and he locked the door, and came down upon her with so sound a beating of back and shoulders, ribs and arms and legs, saying the while, Wilt thou ever be asking questions about what concerneth thee not? That she was well nigh senseless. Presently she cried out, I am of the repentant, by Allah. I will ask thee no more questions, and I repent sincerely and wholesomely. Then she kissed his hand and feet and he let her out of the room, submissive as a wife should be. He, parents, and all the company rejoiced, and sadness and mourning were changed into joy and gladness. Thus the merchant learnt family discipline from his cock, and he and his wife lived together the happiest of lives until death. And thou also, O my daughter, continued the wazir, unless thou turn from this matter, I will do by thee what the traitor did to his wife. But she answered him with much decision, I will never desist, O my father, nor shall this tale change my purpose. Leave such talk and tattle. I will not listen to thy words, and if thou deny me, I will marry myself to him despite the nose of thee. And first I will go up to the king myself, and alone, and I will say to him, I prayed my father to wive me to thee, but he refused, being resolved to disappoint his lord, grudging like that of me to the like of thee. Her father asked, Must this needs be? And she answered, Even so. Hereupon the wazir, being weary of lamenting and contending, persuading and dissuading her, all to no purpose, went up to King Shahryar, and, after blessing him and kissing the ground before him, told him all about his dispute with his daughter, from first to last, and how he designed to bring her to him that night. The king wondered with exceeding wonder, for he had made an especial exception of the wazir's daughter, and said to him, O most faithful of counselors, how is this? Thou wotst that I have sworn by the Vizier of the heavens, that after I have gone into her this night, I shall say to thee on the morrow's morning, Take her and slay her. And if thou slay her not, I will slay thee in her stead without fail. Allah guide thee to glory, and lengthen thy life, O King of the age, answered the wazir. It is she that hath so determined. All this have I told her, and more. But she will not hearken to me, and she persisteth in passing this coming night with the king's majesty. So Shahryar rejoiced greatly and said, "'Tis well. Go get her ready, and this night bring her to me." Wow. Oh yeah, look at that. We going into Telluride now. That's a pretty little drive right there. I think about 45 mile an hour speed limit. And it's just real tight in there. I don't even think you can go 45 mile an hour. But the workers do, that's for sure. But oh yeah, boy, we just putting along there, one after another. All right, here we go. What are we doing? Oh yeah, the wazir returned to his daughter and reported to her the command, saying, Allah make not thy father desolate by thy loss. But Shahrazad rejoiced with exceeding joy, and got ready all she required, and said to her younger sister, Dunny Azad, note well what directions I entrust to thee. When I have gone into the king, I will send for thee, and when thou comest to me, and seest that he has had his carnal will of me, do thou say to me, O my sister, and thou be not sleepy, relate to me some new story, delectable and delightsome, the better to speed our waking hours. And I will tell thee a tale, which shall be our deliverance, if so Allah please, and which shall turn the king from his bloodthirsty custom. Oh, she's got a plan. Dani Azad answered with love and gladness. So when it was night, their father the wazir carried Shah Shahrazad, to the king, who was gladdened at the sight, and asked, "Hast thou brought me my need?" And he answered, "I have." But when the king took her to his bed, and fell to toying with her, and wishing to go in to her, she wept, which made him ask, "What aileth thee?" She replied, "O king of the age, I have a younger sister, and lief. Would I take leave of her this night before I see the dawn?" So he sent at once for Dunyazad, and she came and kissed the ground between his hands, when he permitted her to take her seat near the foot of the couch. Then the king arose and did away with his bride's maidenhead, and the three fell asleep. But when it was midnight, Shahrazad awoke and signaled to her sister Dunyazad, who sat up and said, "Honey, sister, recite to us some new story, delightsome and delectable, wherewith to while away the waking hours of our latter night." "With joy and goodly gree," answered Shahrazad, "if this pious and auspicious king permit me." "Tell on," quoth the king, who chanced to be sleepless and restless, and therefore was pleased with the prospect of hearing her story. So Shahrazad rejoiced, and thus, on the first night of the storytelling, she began with the tale of the trader and with the genie. Ooh, baby, we're gonna get. You see, this story now, it just goes around and around. Well, now, where did we start off anyway? All right, we started off with these two kings. Oh, we're still with the one guy though. He's absolutely psycho, but we're with him. All right, we must be getting closer to the Telluride there now, because traffic's starting to back up, and we're kind of doing our thing there. So yeah, let's get back with the story. Okay, the tale of the trader with the genie. It is related, O auspicious king. Okay, here we go. We're going to dig back in again. I got to take my glasses off. All right. Here we go. The tale of the trader with the genie. There was a merchant of the merchants who had much wealth, and business in various cities. Now on a day he mounted horse and went forth to recover monies in certain towns, and the heat sore oppressed him. So he sat beneath a tree, and, putting his hand into his saddlebags, took thence some broken bread and dry dates, and began to break his fast. When he had ended eating the dates, he threw away the stones with force, and lo, an Ifrit appeared, huge of stature, and brandishing a drawn sword. Wherewithin he approached the merchant and said, "Stand up, that I may slay thee, even as thou slewest my son." Asked the merchant, "How have I slain thy son?" And he answered, "When thou atest dates and threwest away the stones, they struck my son full in the breast as he was walking by, so that he died forthwith." Quoth the merchant, "Verily, from Allah we proceeded, and unto Allah we are returning. There is no majesty, there is no might save in Allah, the glorious, the great. If I slew thy son, I slew him by chance medley. I pray thee now, pardon me." Rejoined the genie, "This is no help, but I must slay thee." Then he seized him, dragged him along, and casting him to the earth, raised the sword to strike him. Whereupon the merchant wept and said, "I commit my case to Allah," and began repeating these couplets. containeth time a twain of days, this of blessing, that of bane, and holdeth life a twain of halves, this of pleasure, that of pain. Seest not when blows the hurricane, sweeping stark and striking strong? Now save the forest giant feels the suffering of the strain. How many trees earth nourish of the dry and of the green, yet none but those which bear the fruits for cast of stone complain. Seest not how corpses rise and float on the surface of the tide, while pearls o' price lie hidden in the deepest of the main? In heaven are unnumbered the many of the stars, yet near a star but sun and moon by eclipse is overta and well, judgest thou the days that saw thy faring sound, and well, and countest not the pangs and pain whereof fate is ever fain. The nights have kept thee safe, and the safety brought thee pride, but bliss and blessings of the night are genders of bane. Genderers of bane. Wow. I don't even have a clue there, but okay. Sounds poignant. Okay. When the merchant ceased repeating his verses, the genie said to him, Cut thy words short, by Allah. Needs must I slay thee. But the merchant spake him thus, Know, O thou Ifrit, that I have debts due to me, and much wealth, and children, and a wife, and many pledges in hand. So permit me to go home and discharge to every claimant his claim, and I will come back to thee at the head of the new year. Allah be my testimony and surety that I will return to thee, and then thou mayest do with me as thou wilt, and Allah is witness to what I say. The genie took sure promise of him and let him go. So he returned to his own city and transacted his business, and rendered to all men their dues, and after informing his wife and children of what betided him, he appointed a guardian and dwelt with them for a full year. Then he arose and made the wuzu ablution to purify himself before death, and took his shroud under his arm and bade farewell to his people, his neighbors, and all his kith and kin, and went forth despite his own nose. They began weeping and wailing and beating their breasts over him. But he traveled until he arrived at the same garden, and the day of his arrival was the head of the new year. As he sat weeping over what had befallen him, behold, a sheikh, a very ancient man, who drew near, leading a chained gazelle, and he saluted that merchant and wished him long life, and said, What is the cause of thy sitting in this place, and thou alone, and this be a resort of evil spirits? The merchant related to him what had come to pass with the Ifrit, and the old man, the owner of the gazelle, wondered and said, By Allah, O brother, thy faith is none other than exceeding faith, and thy story right strange. Were it graven with gravers on the eye corners, it were a warner to those to whoso would be warned. Then, seating himself near the merchant, he said, By Allah, my brother, I will not leave thee until I see what may come to pass with thee and this Ifrit. And presently he sat, and the two were at talk. The merchant began to feel fear and terror, and exceeding grief and sorrow beyond relief, and ever-growing care and extreme despair. And the owner of the gazelle was hard by his side, when behold, a second shake. That's right, let's go with shake. Shayk. I don't know. Approached them, and with him were two dogs, both of them of greyhound breed, and both black. The second old man, after saluting them with the salam, also asked them of their tidings, and said, "What causes you to sit in this place, the dwelling of the John?" So they told him the tale from beginning to end, and their stay there had not lasted long before there came up a third sheik, and with him a she-mule of bright bay coat, and he saluted them and asked them why they were seated at that place. So they told him the story from first to last, and to no avail. "Oh, my master is a twice-told tale. There he sat down with them, and lo, a dust cloud advanced, and a mighty sun-devil appeared amidmost of the waste. Presently the cloud opened, and behold, within it was that genie, hending his hand a drawn sword, while his eyes were shooting fire sparks of rage. He came up to them, and hauling away the merchant from among them, cried to him, 'Arise, that I may slay thee, and thou slewest my son, the life stuff of my liver.' The merchant wailed and wept, and the three old men began sighing and crying and weeping and wailing with their companion. Presently the first old man, the owner of the gazelle, came out from among them and kissed the hand of the Ifrit, and said, 'O genie, thou crown of the kings of the Jann, were I to tell thee the story of me and this gazelle, and thou shouldst consider it wondrous, would thou give me a third part of this merchant's blood?' Then quoth the genie, 'Even so, O sheik, if thou tell me this tale, and I hold it a marvelous, then will I give thee a third of his blood.' Thereupon the old man began to tell the first sheik's story. Oh, okay, we're gonna slip into another story now. Let's take another look at this. Let's take another look at this road here. Where are we going? Oh boy, we're still trying to get to Telluride there. We got the roundabout coming right. Oh yeah, there he is right there. Yeah, we whip in here. We turn right at Telluride. We'll grab some fuel over here. It's a interesting fuel stop because it's also the bus stop, and everybody with dreams of coming to Colorado for the summer kind of thing, or whatever it is they're doing, they all kind of end up getting off the bus and then wondering just what exactly they're going to do, because they don't really like bums in the town. But out here on the edge, and on the left there, you can see where people have left their vehicles and their trailers and stuff, because there's hiking that leaves, and bicycles and stuff, and trails that leave from right here. And like I say, to get into Telluride, it's kind of tough. There's just not that much parking. There's just, they just don't want a whole bunch of vehicles in there. So I got a couple of other videos where we go down and to take the Jeep into Telluride, and we'll do that on the next one, or the next one after that. But right now, we're just going to roll in here at the bus stop / fuel stop, and we'll fuel up and boogie on down the road. So here we go. Now, where the heck was I with this story? Oh, right, we're starting another part of this story. So we went from the two kings to the genie to Shahrazad, and now what the heck is going on here? We're talking, oh, right, okay, yep. All right. So the first shake story. Shake, gotta be shake. Know, O genie, that this gazelle, oh, here we go. We're going to tell him the story about the gazelle, is the daughter of my paternal uncle, my own flesh and blood. And I married her when she was a young maid. And I lived with her well nigh 30 years. Yet was I not blessed with issue by her. So I took me a concubine, who brought to me the boon of a male child, fair as the full moon, with eyes of lovely shine, and eyebrows which formed one line that's a good thing, I guess, and limbs of perfect design. Little by little he grew in structure, and waxed tall, and when he was a lad 15 years old, it became needful I should journey to certain cities, and I traveled with great store of goods. But the daughter of my uncle, this gazelle, had learned gramarye and egromancy. Wow. Egromancy, gramarye, and egomancy. And clerky craft from her childhood. So she bewitched that son of mine to a calf, and my handmaid, his mother, to a heifer, and made them over to the herdsman's care. What? Now, when I returned after a long time from my journey, and asked for my son and his mother, she answered me, saying, Thy slave girl is dead, and thy son hath fled, and I know not whither he is sped. So I remained for a whole year, with grieving heart and streaming eyes, until the time came for the great festival of Allah. Then sent I to my herdsman, bidding him choose me a fat heifer, and he brought me one which was the damsel, my handmaid, whom this gazelle had wow, that's not a word. I tucked up my sleeves and shirt, and, taking my knife, proceeded to cut her throat. But she lowed aloud, and wept bitter tears. Thereat I marveled, and pity seized me, and I held my hand, saying to her, Bring me other than this. Then cried my cousin, Slay her, for I have not a fatter nor a fairer. Once more I went forward to sacrifice her, but she again lowed aloud, and upon which in ruth I refrained, and commanded the herdsman to slay her and flay her. He killed her and skinned her, but found in her neither fat nor flesh, only hide and bone. And I repented with penitence, availed me not. I gave her to the herdsman, and said to him, Fetch me a fat calf. So he brought my son ensorcelled. When the calf saw me, he brake his tether, and ran to me, and fawned upon me, and wailed and shed tears, so that I took pity on him, and said to the herdsman, Bring me a heifer, and let this calf go. Thereupon my cousin, this gazelle, called aloud at me, saying, Needs must thou kill this calf? This is a holy day, and a blessed, whereon naught is slain save what be perfect pure. And we have not amongst our calves any fatter or fairer than this? Quoth I, Look upon the condition of the heifer which I slaughtered at thy bidding, and how we turned from her in disappointment, and she profited us on no wise. And I repent with an exceeding repentance of having killed her. So this time I will not obey thy bidding for the sacrifice of this calf. Quoth she, By Allah, the most great, the compassionate, there is no help for thee. Thou must kill him on this holy day. And if thou kill him not, to me thou art no man, and I to thee am no wife. When the merchant proposed the sacrifice of the calf, but saw it weeping, his heart relented, and he said to the herdsman, Keep the calf among my cattle. All this the old sheikh told the genie, who marveled much at these strange words. Then the owner of the gazelle continued. All right, let's just take a look at this road. All right, we got fuel. We're heading up the hill. Oh yeah, there's sunshine campground over there. Sunshine Mountain maybe. Yeah. But yep, there it is. We're doing it. Heading up towards the Big Lizard Pass. All right, I've lost my place now. Okay, yeah, I got it there. The owner of the gazelle continued, Who marveled at O Lord of the kings of the John, this much took place, and my uncle's daughter, this gazelle, looked on and saw it, and said, Butcher me this calf, for surely it is a fat one. But I bade the herdsman take it away, and he took it and turned his face homewards. On the next day, as I was sitting in my own house, lo, the herdsman came and, standing before me, said, O my master, I will tell thee a thing which shall gladden thy soul, and shall gain me the gift of good tidings. I answered, Even so. Then said he, O merchant, I have a daughter, and she learned magic in her childhood from an old woman who lived with us. Yesterday, when thou gavest me the calf, I went into the house to her, and she looked upon it and veiled her face. Then she wept and laughed alternately, and at last she said, O father, hath mine honor become so cheap to thee that thou bringest in to me strange men? I asked her, Where be these strange men, and why wast thou laughing and crying? And she answered, Of a truth this calf which is with thee is the son of our master, the merchant, but he is ensorcelled by his stepdame, who bewitched both him and his mother. Such is the case of my laughing. Now the reason of his weeping is his mother, for that his father slew her unawares. Then I marveled at this with exceeding marvel, and hardly made sure that day had dawned before I came to tell thee. When I heard, O genie, my herdsman's words, I went out with him, and I was drunken without wine, from the excess of joy and gladness which came upon me, until I reached his house. There his daughter welcomed me and kissed my hand, and forthwith the calf came and fawned upon me as before. Quoth I to the herdsman's daughter, Is this true that thou sayest of this calf? Quoth she, Yea, O my master, he is thy son, the very core of thy heart. I rejoiced and said to her, O maiden, if thou wilt release him, thine shall be whatever cattle and property of mine are under thy father's hand. She smiled and answered, O my master, I have no greed for the goods, nor will I take them save on two conditions. The first, that thou marry me to thy son. And the second, that I may bewitch her who bewitched him, and imprison her. Otherwise I cannot be safe from her malice and malpractices. Now, when I heard, O genie, these, the words of the herdsman's daughter, I replied, beside what thou askest, all the cattle and the household stuff in my father's charge are thine. And as for the daughter of my uncle, her blood is lawful to thee. When I had spoken, she took up a cup and filled it with water. Then she recited a spell over it and sprinkled it upon the calf, saying, if Almighty Allah created thee a calf, remain so shaped, and change not. But if thou be enchanted, return to thy whilom form, by command of Allah, most highest. And lo, he trembled and became a man. Then I fell on his neck and said, Allah upon thee, tell me all that the daughter of my uncle did by thee and by thy mother. And when he told me what had come to pass between them, I said, O my son, Allah favored thee with one to restore thee, and thy right hath returned to thee. Then, O genie, I married the herdsman's daughter to him, and she transformed my wife into this gazelle, saying, her shape is a comely and by no means loathsome. After this she took abode with us night and day and night, till the Almighty took her to himself. When she deceased, my son fared forth to the cities of Hind, even to the city of this man who hath done to thee what hath been done. And I also took this gazelle, my cousin, and wandered with her from town to town, seeking tidings of my son, till destiny drove me to this place, where I saw the merchant sitting in tears. Such is my tale. Quoth the genie, this story is indeed strange, and therefore I grant thee the third part of his blood. Thereupon the second old man, who owned the two greyhounds, came up and said, O genie, if I recount to thee what befell me from my brothers, these two hounds, and thou see that it is a tale even more wondrous and marvelous than what thou hast heard, wilt thou grant me also the third of this man's blood? Replied the genie, thou hast my word for it, if thine adventures be more marvelous and wondrous. Therefore he began the second shake story. Oh, baby. Well, it looks like we made it. All right. Samsing. That's all for now, guys. Thanks a lot for coming along on the ride. We'll catch up later. Oh, here comes big old Rosie. Oh, you go big, Rosie. Yeah, baby.